Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Today is Monday, March 22, 2021. CNN report. Massive fire destroys homes of thousands in Bangladesh Rohingya refugee camps. A fire has swept through a sprawling Rohingya refugee camp in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, destroying shelters and endangering the lives of tens of thousands of refugees. The UN refugee agency UNHCR reported Monday. Fire services, Bangladesh's Refugee Relief and Repatriation Commissioner, and rescue and response teams remained at the scene on Monday evening, where they continued to try to control the fire and prevent its further spread, the UNHCR said late Monday afternoon local time.
Al Jazeera report. In pictures, African leaders pay tribute to Tanzania's Magufuli. Leaders from across Africa have paid tribute to John Magufuli, Tanzania's late president, who leaves a complex legacy following his sudden death last week. Magufuli died aged 61 from what authorities on Wednesday said was a heart condition, after a mysterious absence of almost 3 weeks, and questions remain over the true cause of his death, which the opposition has said was from COVID-19. Thousands of mourners on Monday line the streets of the capital Dodoma, running alongside the motorcade carrying Magufuli's coffin to the Jamhuri Stadium for the state funeral.
Al Jazeera report. As U.S. debates D.C. statehood, advocates see possibilities ahead. United States lawmakers will debate granting the District of Columbia statehood on Monday, the latest step along a 30-year road undertaken by Washington, D.C. residents and activists. The home of the U.S. Capitol, by law, does not enjoy elected voting representation in Congress, although its residents pay federal taxes, a fact decried by residents and leaders alike. The movement gained national attention and an unprecedented level of support ahead of the November 2020 election, with advocates campaigning on a platform of equality for D.C. voters.
Al Jazeera report. Photos show U.S. border facility crowded with migrant children. The immigration policy of United States President Joe Biden continued to draw criticism on Monday after a series of pictures emerged of a crowded detention facility housing migrant children. Representative Henry Cuellar, a Democrat from Texas whose district is on the U.S.-Mexico border, made the pictures public on Monday. The photos show migrant children, who had crossed into the U.S. alone without a parent or guardian, being held in crowded rooms with mattresses on the floor surrounded with clear plastic at a detention facility in Texas.
CNN report. McConnell describes legislative filibuster as Kentucky's veto. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell explained his support for the legislative filibuster's 60-vote threshold, making the case in an op-ed in his home state paper, The Courier-Journal, published Monday, that the filibuster is actually Kentucky's veto to prevent radical changes that would hurt the state. The piece comes a week after a stark warning to Democrats against changing the rules of the filibuster in a floor speech, and a WSJ op-ed making a similar point headlined, "The Scorched Earth Senate."
Deutsche Welle report. China is challenge and opportunity, NATO chief tells DW. There is simply no way for the West to avoid dealing with the rise of China, NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg told DW's Alexandra von Naumann on Monday. China is coming closer to us, investing in our critical infrastructure, Stoltenberg said. There's no way we can avoid addressing the security consequences for our regional alliance of the rise of China and the shift in the global balance of power.
CNN report. Netanyahu credits himself with bringing Israel back to life. Now he hopes his COVID-19 campaign will save his political future. A mask may have been covering his face, but Benjamin Netanyahu's pleasure was undeniable as Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz complimented the Israeli Prime Minister's handling of the pandemic and world-leading coronavirus vaccination campaign at an event in Jerusalem earlier this month. Kurz, who was visiting Israel with his Danish counterpart to discuss a trilateral vaccine pact, credited Netanyahu for shocking him into action at the very beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak.
BBC report. Boston bombing. Tsarnaev's death sentence could be reinstated. 3 people were killed and more than 260 injured when 2 bombs planted by Tsarnaev and his brother exploded at the finish line in 2013. Tsarnaev was convicted and sentenced to death, but the sentence was overturned in July by a federal appeals court. The Justice Department under Donald Trump appealed against the decision. Tsarnaev and his elder brother Tamerlan, both Kyrgyz-American nationals of Chechen descent, planted bombs close to the finish line of the Boston Marathon on 15 April 2013.
Fox report. Illinois school district pays anti-racism speaker $10,500 for one-hour talk. Report. Newly released documents show that an Illinois school district agreed to pay an anti-racism speaker $10,500 for an hour-long event for faculty and staff earlier this year. A whistleblower reportedly informed The Federalist that diversity coach Dina Simmons told attendees at the February 26 event that Americans were spiritually murdering students and that our education is based on a foundation of witness.
Deutsche Welle report. Ikea on trial in France over claims of spying on staff. The French branch of furniture giant Ikea and several former executives went on trial on Monday in Versailles over accusations of spying on its staff. A criminal probe into the company was opened in 2012 following reports of a widespread snooping system that was used against employees as well as customers who were in disputes with Ikea France. Prosecutors say the French subsidiary hired a private security company to illegally obtain information on its employees and prospective staff as part of a spying system that operated from 2009 to 2012.
Deutsche Welle report. UK's Boris Johnson, reassured, about EU vaccine exports. Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson said on Monday that he was reassured, after speaking with European leaders over coronavirus vaccine exports. The European Union and the UK have been clashing over exporting jabs and their components. The row is fueled by post-Brexit tensions and a slow vaccine rollout throughout the EU member states. I'm reassured by talking to EU partners over the last few months. They don't want to see blockades. I think that's very, very important, Johnson said.
Fox report. Saudi Arabia to offer how this new ceasefire. Saudi Arabia will offer a new ceasefire agreement to Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen, according to two senior Saudi officials. The officials described the initiative as a package of humanitarian and confidence-building measures, during a background briefing with reporters. If the Houthis look at the package, it's more than we are coming to a ceasefire. It's going to lead to a political solution in Yemen, a senior Saudi coalition official said in response to a question from Fox News.
Fox report. Bystander grabs man's foot after he nearly falls off balcony, video shows. A shocking video released last week shows a bystander grabbing the foot and possibly saving the life of a man who nearly fell off a balcony in India, according to reports. In the video, the man, identified locally as Binu, is seen leaning back against the side of the balcony before he tumbles over. A bystander grabs the man's foot and several others arrive and help pull him up to safety. The Daily Mail reported that the man was taken to a nearby hospital but did not have any injuries.
CNN report. Cuomo hasn't resigned because he still has support from Democratic voters. New York Gov. Andrew Cuomo is fighting to stay in office. He's resisting calls from several Democrats to resign after multiple women have come forward with allegations of sexual harassment. While Cuomo may eventually be impeached and removed from office, he's unlikely to step down if his poll numbers continue to look anything like they do now. The idea that Cuomo shouldn't be governor is a much more popular idea among politicians than it is among voters.
Fox report. California teacher sings affirmations ahead of tests to inspire students. A third-grade teacher in California has one very important lesson for her students: to be good humans. Each day, Katie Boozer sings affirmations with her students at Franklin Elementary School in Santa Barbara before they take an exam. When they believe in themselves, that's how our world is going to change, Boozer told Fox News. Boozer has done this with every class she has had since starting her career as an educator 10 years ago.
BBC report. Coronavirus. Germany plans tighter COVID rules to tackle new surge. Under a draft government plan, the current partial lockdown would be extended to the 18th of April. The level of restrictions varies regionally. Nationally, the infection rate has risen above 100 per 100,000 inhabitants. In neighboring Poland, the rate is more than 3 times higher. Germany now has tighter border checks. Unfortunately, we are going to have to use these emergency brakes. Chancellor Merkel warned.
BBC report. Australia floods. Rainfall set to peak as weather systems collide. The entire coast of New South Wales has been put on alert, with troops and hundreds of volunteers deployed. Roads and bridges have been cut off. Cars and signs submerged. Livestock marooned and schools closed. PM Scott Morrison told MPs there was serious risk still ahead, and weather officials said, it's far from over. New South Wales, NSW, Premier Gladys Berejiklian said no deaths had yet been reported, a miracle given what we have been through.
Thank you for watching 5 p.m. recap. To be notified, you can subscribe our channel and activate the bell.